Okay, good morning. 21 of the month. Who needs refuah shlema?
Okay.
Tuvia ben Avram. Let me start. Tuvia ben Avram. Yair ben Adela. Yisrael ben Yamin ben Leah Gittel. Devor Leah bas Rus Ahura Liba. Rivka Mina bas Chaya Esther.
Yehuda Skalda bas Elisa Hana. Haim Yaakov Zev ben Sarah. Yosef Yitzhak ben Leor. Gary Robert, son of George. Yaakov Shaul ben Hana Miriam. Yehudit Gila bas Rachalea.
Refuah shlema b'karav.
Amen.
Aaron ben Achinoam Chaya. Aaron ben Achinoam Chaya, Sarah bat Rachel, Sabrina Celestine, daughter of George Leo. You said Yisrael ben Yamin ben Leah Gittel, Yisrael ben Inbal Esther, and Issachar ben Mariasha.
Refuah shlema b'karav mamish.
Amen.
Anybody else? Okay, Hayom Yom. I'm in Hayenu, page 90. Page 90, actually. Page 90, page 91. Tuesday. The Rabbi Rayatz once met a water carrier with buckets full of water, and he said to the bucket carrier, he said, when one encounters water, he should quote the Baal Shem Tov as follows. And the code begins, quote, when one encounters water, he should say in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, when one encounters water, this is a sign of blessing. Okay? Tanya in Chayenu. Tanya in Chayenu is on page Tuesday, page 69 in Chayenu. And someone maybe on the call has lessons in Tanya. If you want to point that out, I don't have it.
Page 203. Chapter
Okay.
14, right? Perak Yudalad?
Yeah. Starting a new parak. Chapter 14. Okay. Our Benoni. So he begins with a colossal statement. Nehine, behold. This is page 38 in Likutei Morim. Midas ha-Benoni hu midas kol odom. The attribute, literally attribute, I mean the quality of a Benoni. Every person has that capability to be a Benoni. The Benoni is the attribute of, in other words, it's the natural attribute. It's what we inherit in our neshama, the ability to be a Benoni. Achareha kol odom yumshach. And after that, meaning after that level, running after that level, working on that level, kol odom yumshach. Every person should be drawn. Shekol odom yochol lies Benoni. Every person can be a Benoni, bechol es or bechol shah, in every single moment. So this is where I've derived, you heard the expression from me saying like a Benoni in training or a Benoni moment. Because a Benoni moment is one of many moments. And when you string them all together with no interruption and they're only Benoni moments, then you can be a Benoni the whole time. Every person can be a Benoni all the time, in every moment. Because a Benoni does not despise evil. That is something given over to the heart. And we're talking about the garments, thought, speech, and action. To hate evil is something that's given to the heart, over and over the heart. And not every moment is equal to each other. What can a Benoni do, or a person who's aspiring to be a Benoni? What is a Benoni moment? It's a moment in which a person turns from the evil that may be kicking in the heart, the Osei type, and does good. The Hainu, what do you mean does good? The Poil Mamish in actuality, the Maise, Dibur, Umachshava, deed, speech, and thought. Everybody, I'm putting in the word everybody, has the free choice and ability to control one's thought, speech, and action. As he says, permission is given to every person. La'ases, to do, u'ledaber, and to speak, u'lachshev, and to think, gam masha hu neged taivas live b'hafnei mamish, those things which are opposite and in opposition to the desires of one's heart and what a person is after, and transform them. In other words, transform the thought, transform the speech, transform the action, even though there may be a fire, and I'm exaggerating, there may be a fire, a passion kindled and present in the heart. To do a person has the ability to do that which is against the desires of the heart, and to turn over one's thought, speech, and action, and not go after shriras libon, the freedoms of the heart. Because even at a moment when the heart is craving, umisaver, and desires some physical pleasure, either beheter or be'isur, a permissible or forbidden pleasure, chas v'sholem, even in that moment when the heart is drawn and strong after that, a person is able to strengthen oneself and to turn one's attention away from that completely. The Omer Deliboy, by saying to his heart, I do not want to be an evil person even for one moment. Because I don't want to be separated from Hashem. And here's where I derive, and we've used this over and over again, the definition of evil, right? A Russia, which we spoke about one way back, not necessarily meaning sinning, but to take away one's being automatically drawn after the passion of the heart. And when a person moves himself away from the passions of the heart, either for indulgence in something permitted, or chas v'sholem, doing anything with something prohibited, then he's not called a Rasha, because he's restoring his connection to Hashem. And no person writes alias Rasha, no person wants to be a Rasha, afilu sha'achas, even for a moment. And then the right alias moved because I don't. If I'm a Rasha, in that moment, I'm separated from Hashem, and I don't want that chas v'sholem, to be separated from Hashem. B'shum oifen, in any manner, could it conceive, as is written, Avanei seichem abdilim. And here's the pasuk. Here's what a Rasha is. A Rasha means one's sins are separating you from your connection with Hashem. This is the Benoni speaking to himself. Here, by the way, is a fairly long, on half a page, contemplation that anybody can do. When you find yourself in a moment, it's to talk to yourself and say, I do not want to be separated from Hashem for even a moment. My whole desire, and it's true, because the whole desire of your essential self is to be connected with Hashem. So you're not telling a fib, you're telling the truth. The fib, so to speak, the lie, is the separation. The truth is the connection. I only want to be connected to Him. Nafshi, ruchi, v'neshmasi, through my three lower levels of the soul. Nefesh, ruach, and neshama. because they are invested in the three garments, shehem masa dibur machshava Hashem, which are deed, speech, and thought of Hashem, the Torah and His Torah, umitzvosov and His mitzvahs. And I want to be, and I have the capability to be connected with those things. This is where it comes from the love which is hidden in my heart LeHashem, to Hashem, as is the heart of the entirety of the Jewish people, who are called Shenikra Oivei Shemecha, or Shimcha, who are called the Jewish people as a whole, those who love your name. And even someone who's very light in his or her observance of mitzvahs, has the ability, due to the essence of the soul and the soul's essential connection all the time with Hashem, which needs to be revealed, and therefore every Jew is shaykh to, has the ability to give himself totally over, mesiras nefesh, meaning physical mesiras nefesh, giving one's life away, because one will do anything when push comes to shove. As they say, there's no atheist in a foxhole. When the bullets are flying, you believe in God, and that's when His essence comes out. And sometimes it takes that, and that's not necessarily bullets flying, but rough times. Rough times bring out the depths. Dig deeper. You have to dig deeper, because you should know. It's a tremendous consolation to know there's a deeper that's always there. And in that deeper of depths is your connection to Hashem. And I don't want to fall away from that at all. The only reason I might fall away from that is because there has fallen into me a spirit of stupidity and folly. That in Avera means to transgress. It also means to move away, right? Across the sea. By moving away from this, one rationalizes it and thinks that I'm still in my Jewishness. Now, don't take this to mean that if you're sinning, you're not a Jew anymore. It means that I can never be connected with. I can never be displaced from my connection with God, because it's essential. So therefore, what's it matter what I do? Well, that's not the way Hashem set it up. Yes, you can never become a non-Jew, but you can be non-Jewish, meaning you're not Yahadus, you're not expressing your Yahadus, you're not expressing that essential connection. So a person could do something negative and appear to himself as if that he's still in full standing. Well, you're not in full standing. You're full standing as a Jew, but you're not in full standing of what you can be and are at root. If you're doing this negative thing that Hashem wants, you might think that this has nothing to do with separating you from Hashem. I still do, but we just learned that anything you do that's negative, that negative, again, rishus, meaning defined as something that Hashem doesn't want you to do, is blocking that connection. It's like you put a constriction in a blood vessel. The blood vessel's still there, but it's not going to perform, and it's not going to give life if it's constricted. And if a person does thought, speech, or action, when a person does, God forbid, any thought, speech, and action that's loyla Hashem, that's not to Hashem, it constricts the flow of Elikus. So, in a certain sense, there is a separation, Elokei Yisrael, from the God of the Jew. And it brings about, the more you, God forbid, customize yourself, habituate yourself to thought, speech, or action which is not aligned with Hashem, it causes you to forget and become sort of numb to your love, your natural love to Hashem, which is Amisateres believer, which is hidden in your heart. Aval, what does the Beni and the want to be say? Ani eneni raisa liya shaita kamayhu. I don't want to be a fool like this. Lichfer ha'emes, to deny the truth. On the other hand, the devar himself, that's in thought, speech, and action. But when it comes to the impulses of the heart, what's given over to the heart, as opposed to what one can be in control of in one's thought, speech, and action. That the evil should actually be despised by you, the evil in your heart. And when you hate it with a complete hatred, or it's not a complete hatred. Here we're talking about the tzaddik gomer, complete hatred and subjugation, and the tzaddik she'ena gomer. As long as it's not that way, so it can't. The truth of the truth of the truth, the truth of the natural state, which is your godly state, can't shine only through a strong love of Hashem, the bechinas tav peishchof, the bechinas ahava b'tainugim, the highest level of love, the level of delights, to have pleasure from Hashem, like the future world. But this, Amr Rizal, our sages say, that's the level. This Ava b'tainugim is the levels described. A person sees his world. He sees the world to come. And we're not talking here about the pleasures of the world to come. We're talking of the state of feeling and seeing your connection with Hashem. That's the ultimate tainug. That's the ultimate delight. But not everybody can merit to this. This is like a reward, which is mentioned in other places. Ava b'tainugim is a reward that's given to one who strives on the lower levels. It's like a kibbul schar, like a giving of a reward. Because the Teves is written, avoid this matana et eskuchanichem. This is given kunasachem. This is given a pasuk by the priest, the kahanim, and it's called a gift to be able to live at that experiential level of what's called ava b'tainugim. Ava b'tainugim, love of delights. The deeper meaning of, rather than being a delightful, is that you cause delight to Hashem. And your only raison d'etre, reason for being, is to give oinig l'Hashem. Ava b'tainugim. Is written in another place. Therefore, even though Eev said, Berosa tzaddikim, it says, you've created tzaddikim. Tzaddikim are something that this ultimate state is something that you, God, give a gift that level of tzaddik should become realized. And it's written in the Zohar, is brought in the Zohar, that amongst all the hundreds of thousands of Jewish souls, there are many, many levels and level ubechinas and level many categories. Hasidim, and he lists them. Hasidim, Geborim, strong ones. Amis Gabrim al Yitzram. And what is a strong one? One who strengthens oneself over one's Yetzer. And it's called Amari Torah. And then you have other levels. Amari Torah, those who are masters of Torah, Nevi'im, and it ends with Tzaddikim. So the kind of paradox is, on the one hand, Amach Kulam Tzaddikim, as it says in Pirkei Avos, we are all tzaddikim. We all have that level. It's not really a paradox. However, not everyone can reach that level. And even if you, through work, reach certain levels of tzidkis, the Ava b'tainugim is the gift from Hashem to you. But certainly, no one wants to remain separated from Hashem in any way. And therefore, the Benoni, the aspiring Benoni, works hard to never, ever let his or her thought, speech, or action interrupt that connection. As today, Rosa.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be called Ahava B'Tanugim, but there is a spiritual love of Hashem that is expressed not only by tzaddikim and is also experienced not only by tzaddikim. Sometimes I have observed people who are actually new to Yiddishkeit who seem to have a greater ecstatic joy in Shabbos or in a Yom Tov because it's a first for them, or it's relatively a first for them, like a first time, while someone who kind of grew up with it doesn't feel that. But I think that, I don't know, Les'anag al Hashem, it says, delighting in godliness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very big motivator. People, I mean, I have a neighbor around the corner from me. She's a very accomplished pianist, and she gave it all up, but she doesn't feel that she sacrificed because she feels that Yiddishkeit is so much more. So she had to be exposed to this type of Les'anag al Hashem, delighting in godliness,
Right.
because she could have been famous. You have to hear her play. This is not made up.
I believe you. That I hope she hasn't stopped playing, at least to herself.
She plays. That's what I'm saying. And I get
Yeah.
the privilege to hear it like about once a year.
Right.
But she also, Baruch Hashem, she has, religious grandchildren, children who are her pride and her nachas, and she feels that that's much more valuable.
Good. But let's not forget that the deeper meaning of Les'anag al Hashem is not for the experience of your pleasure, but for giving God the pleasure. That's okay.
But even through all the veils, some of that is meant. It does filter back to us.
Sure.
If we wouldn't believe that we give God the pleasure, it wouldn't be filtering back. Maybe.
Okay, I'll go with that. Anybody else? Thank you. Okay, so what are we going to do about this? About this that we just learned?
Well, it's clearly about making good choices.
You bet. And knowing that you're naturally empowered to make those good choices. It's like unnatural, the way we're learning, this is the way it's unnatural to separate yourself from Hashem.
To take that pause and think before you, before you, even sometimes even before you think, certainly before you speak or act.
Yeah. Sylvia, your hand up? Maybe.
Well, it isn't, but I did unmute. So I was just thinking that it's interesting that the Alter Rebbe gives us this whole dialogue, this whole internal dialogue of something to say to oneself at the moment of, you could go this way or that way. And in terms of practicality, the first many times I read, they said, well, who could stop and recite this whole Megillah to themselves at that moment? But it probably is useful to have that kind of, maybe in our own language, to have these words at our elbow, so to speak, to as a actual reminder, because it's not saying, okay, remember this. It's literally a little self-talk speech.
That's correct. Right. Yeah. Put it on the fridge. I don't know if people do that anymore. It's expression. People still have fridges. Yep. But yeah, that's what it is. It's a pep talk to yourself. That's a good way of saying what this little piece is today. A pep talk that you can give to yourself. So that's the bechein. Give the pep talk to yourself and know that what you say and think and do has effect on deep, deep, deep levels. And remember the expression, we say it in English, it's brought a lot in Chazal, that habit becomes second nature. Because you really do. This is really our nature. It's just we need to bring it out through building good habits of thought, speech, and action. And it's available. Anybody who wants. Any other comments?
Yeah, well, knowing that it is part of, as we say, right, Havad Misuteret, and it's the opposite is Rosh Shtus. So to have the sense that it's more authentic, the positive is more authentic than the negative.
Good.
That the negative is really just an external force.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, and it certainly is. Positive is more deeply who we are, more deeply who we are than the negative, for sure. Anybody else? All right. See you tomorrow, Mir Hashem. Thank you.